welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka that Tellest guy. Clearly, the heat is already melting my brain a little bit. We had a little bit of like a heat wave, which isn't all that peculiar for something like October. We have some very funky weather when it comes to October, but that's perfectly fine. We're good. We're surviving. We are going to be looking at the Cefen'adiel Dam that we started last week. We wrapped up the part of the Forgotten Keep that we were working on yesterday. I put together some stuff on Patreon. I think it was something like 7 variants for that map. Anytime we're doing like an indoor dungeon or something like that, there's usually, especially when there's multiple floors and we use the other floors as special variants, we usually have a lot to kind of demonstrate and show off and stuff like that. So we did that. That's up on Patreon. My brother, before he went to California, got me a ton of content for us to release on the Patreon over the next couple of weeks. So we're probably going to double up and we'll do 2 a week. I'm going to try and see if I can get this one done for maybe Friday, and then get the next one that we're going to be working on done maybe over the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, maybe Monday, since we have the day off, and then we'll double up for sure once that happens, because like I said, Matt gave me a lot of good content. So what you can see right now, I kind of took things a little bit further than where we got it. We didn't have the terrain alongside the river or anything like that. I may have added a few more logs and things to kind of spice up the dam a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of mirror what we did on the left side over here, with some content over on the right. We want it to look like it just doesn't terminate into flatness just because you get out of the grass and into the mud or the river or anything like that. So we're going to do that. We're going to add a little bit more debris in the dam as well. It's not just these man-made logs that are going to show up. Eventually there's going to be other things that kind of float in the river from upriver and things like that. So we'll see branches. We may see some other stuff. The way that we were kind of making it in the game and the book that Heart of the Forest became, a lot of people from upriver would float certain supplies down the river for other people to find. So we may kind of play with that a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to start with the terrain just because I feel like that's the easiest part to do. And one of the things that you'll notice is over here we lose a lot of this kind of like jaggedness. It's still, because of the nature of the terrain itself, has that kind of look, but we're going to manufacture that alongside this to make it look a little finer, a little neater. So we're going to start with the terrain down here first, just because that's the friendliest to work with. And let's do just another flat one. I feel like that's pretty good. We can go with that one. But I'm going to curve that a little bit so that it kind of gives us that look right there. And then we know that we're going to need to come up here for these guys. And then right about there is perfect, because that'll be where it transitions from kind of like the above water to the below water. So you'll see over here, I can highlight up to a point, and then once we get there, I can't do that highlighting anymore. And that's because we push that down to the background layer. So we're going to save real quick. It's just 9, but we're also doing a low-res version of the map again. We're not doing the 4K right off the bat, so it should save a lot quicker. And let's go into... we're going to mess with the mask real quick first so that we can clean that stuff up. I don't want things to be hanging out further than they need to, and I want to make sure that the places that do need to be adjusted are. These ones are usually pretty easy, like you can see right now. Not too much that I had to do. people who like look real close might be able to notice these things, but it's so insignificant. Like, I have a feeling that most people will never notice it. So we did that little bit of cleanup. Let's come up here now, and we're going to start to work on the stuff that's going to end up below water. So we're going to... One of the things that you're going to notice is I'm not going to throw these under until I get a little bit of a chance to work on things. And I've got a reason for that I'll show you in a few moments. Big one here. And then one small one to close it up. Throw that under so it has a little bit more of like a textured look to it and everything. Alright, so at this point, what you're going to see is there's some spots that are missing and everything. We're actually going to subtract the land from over here. You know that right around there is where it transitions to the water. And we're going to actually grab this gray ground look and throw that in there instead. Let's just mess with the foreground real quick just to make sure. That'll make that look real nice. And we're going to be closing that up anyway, but this allows us to do is it'll let us see kind of a more gray looking appearance of those things when we flatten them down to the background. So now I have that, and what we'll do is we'll start to build back the land mass. So we're going to go add, and then here. Now that's all foreground again, so we did put a little bit of the gray up there, but you'll notice that once we kind of put these back together and we paint over it, we're going to get a lot of that color back. Let's do subtract right there, because I don't want to get too much of that overlap. I want to try and make sure that as we're cleaning this up, now we've got that instead. So a more natural kind of descent into what we're seeing there. We can actually go even further. If we go into the add, we can come here and we can kind of clean it up even further. That in a little smidge. Now right now that still looks like it's above the water, so what we're going to do is go to the background layer. Oop. Where did we go? Recently used, not favorites. We're going to drop this to 25%, and we're going to do 2 passes of everything that's in the water over here. So we'll do this 1 pass here, and we'll do 1 more. I am noticing a couple of little discrepancies over here that we might have to fix. So let's come in here, drop this down. I don't want to lose too much of the texture there. I don't want to overdo it too far, but we're going to kind of close up those little gaps where we're seeing more of the terrain than we should. So we've got that. it pretty much matches over there now. And then what we'll end up doing is we'll put some actual gray ground on top of it on the foreground to add even more of a sense of, you know, terrain. It's not just paint on top of a map. So 52 changes, that's a good spot to make some adjustments. Let's go into the gray ground one more time, but we're going to go to the foreground. And we'll do 25, just like we were doing for the water. We're going to paint around the edges and everything of this area of the riverbank. And right now, this first pass, you're not going to see too much. We're going to practice with it a little bit, see if we get... do it 3 times. That's kind of the right look, I think. Let's go a little bit bigger. It's not going to cause too many problems for us to do it that way. So we got about there. Close that up. And one more time. And you can kind of see like it's starting to show up a little bit. We might switch the way that we do things on the right side to make this a little bit of a quicker process. It doesn't look bad by any means, but we do need to kind of tweak a few things. Let's go to 4 on the other side. And we'll just do 2 passes with it over here. Brings us to around the same amount. You know, you do 3 passes of 0.25 and you get 0.75. You do 2 passes of 0.40 and you get 0.80. So pretty darn close. And then what we'll do is we're going to use that cracked ground tool that we like to use a lot. And let's see, we've got our cracked ground in the dungeon. Let's change the settings so it's not too big. Something like that. You know, we always have the cracked ground facing the same way, so we're going to change that a little bit. So we're going to have a little bit up here, but we're going to do a couple of passes down here because the ground is a little bit more arid. You know, it's not being sustained very well, so... And we might actually extend that into the ground down here as well. And one of the things that you'll notice that we're going to do is add some water features down in the muddy area anyway, because just because we have the dam here doesn't mean that some water's not going to pass through. It's just not going to pass through in nearly the same fashion that it would have if the logs weren't there. Good. And let's throw this up a little bit. We're going to mess with the opacity because we're going to do like a couple of passes of it. I don't want it to be all the same. Oh, you know what? That might be background. And let's do a couple of spots here and here. And we're going to bump that up. Play a little bit more with it. Let's see what we get. All right. Good stop right there, 63. Let's get some branches. Before we do any of the water features down here, we'll do some branches. And the reason that we're going to do that is I have an idea of what I'd like to do. We got bare branch trees. Let's see if we get like a stick or something like that. Bundles of sticks. Carrying stick. Got anything in the tree that we can use? We got like fallen logs and stuff. This stuff here, fallen trees. So we'll use that. We'll use a variation of these. I'm going to do random stamps. I'm going to actually start with this one. We're going to dial it back. Well, maybe we won't. Trying to think about how I would want this to be. So I don't mind a little bit of overlap or anything like that, but it might make more sense for it to be under, because as things twist around and move and stuff like that, we're going to be losing some of that stuff. Let's do no shadow, and that way it'll look a little bit more like it's blending into the water. Go back that way. I want a bushy tree as well. Let's grab that one and put this one over here. That one is going to go on top. Even if some of that tree is going underwater, the branches are going to get obscured there. And let's keep going, see what we get. Get something like this real quick. Let's throw a rock in there too. Something like this. I'm going to throw that under. Like I said, we're going to grab one of these rocks up here. I want it to be something that you see underneath here. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want there to be like some kind of item. We'll figure that out as we go. I want there to be some kind of item that the players are going to be able to find before they cross over here. It'll be a risky thing, because just because all these logs are here and everything, that doesn't mean you can't have a bit of a bad time. I want it to be a risk that the players can take. It's D&D, no one's going to drown or anything like that, but the game master can use the opportunity to make it, a scary situation, that kind of thing. So we'll go that route. Let's see what we can do. Let's do the water features now. So we'll do this. This is going to be background. So I kind of like what we just did there. So we're going to have a little bit of kind of like a spot where this flows down, and then we're going to fill in some of the other spots as we go. Because again, we're going to have water coming through. It's not going to completely dry up, but the amount that comes through is going to change drastically. So we're going to actually bring that down, because I do like what we did, filling that up a little bit more. And we're specifically going to do a couple of passes wherever we've got like these grooves that we have from the cracks. That'll help us to kind of sell the story that, there's elevation within here, little puddles and things like that. So anyway that we have like the deep puddles, we'll add a few splashes of water. This dam will have at this point, they might make you roll for buoyancy. I suppose it does depend on your DM. This dam at this point, probably not going to be something that just got dammed up right now. It's dry enough at this point where, we can see a lot of like the muddiness and everything. Probably not going to see too many fishes or anything like that, but if I have some fish bones, that might be fun to put in here. Alright. And let's narrow, actually, put a little bit more here. I feel like that's deep enough where I can have a little bit more. And then we're going to drop it down even further. I'm going to put on my Parbo glove, Parblo, and we're going to draw a little bit more effectively than I have been. So we're going to use the stylus. Okay. I'm just going to draw it into these little cracks a couple of times. Again, we want to give the illusion that there's kind of sitting water in here and things like that. So add a little bit more character. We've got this right here. I'm sorry that you're watching on silent, but I love you. And I appreciate you. Well, he's watching on silent. Fine, but I won't. A little bit more in there, a little bit more in there. Scooch in there. Alright. Let's go up a little bit further again. A little bit of like dampness where that stuff would come through. Again, you're not going to get a tremendous amount through, but we want to give the illusion that there's still something coming out. All right. 113 changes that time. Let's do another save, and then let's see if we can't find some fishy bones. I shouldn't need to draw anymore, so take the glove off one more time. I gotta tell you, it is going to break my little heart when something eventually happens to this Wacom tablet. It was originally a gift for Rihanna, but I stole it, and I use it a lot more than I would have ever thought that I would have. So we've got these fish skeletons. And yeah, they actually give us a little bit that we can work with. So let's do that. I'll throw a couple of these down. 55 feels like a lot, so we're going to do a couple of 30s here and there. I want that to kind of position like that. And let's do this one down here. And we can have some actual fishies up there. So we've got fish in the water. I feel like a lot of the fish that we get is always like these koi fish, but if we get the one here, let's mess with the shadow a little bit. I don't mind the intensity. The intensity is fine. It's the offset. So let's do something like that. We don't want the river to be too deep. And let's see if we can't change the color of the... something like that. And then we'll grab a couple more of them. You jerks. Got this cool little blue one, so we'll do something with that. We got this one with the weird little wingy things. So put that there too, and we're going to mess with these ones' shadows as well. Don't you steal my fishies. And we're going to throw these to the background anyway, so let's throw that over there. We've got like this little green patch here, which, you know, whatever, not a huge deal, but just something noteworthy. Well, it was supposed to be that one, not a new one. And the shadow would not work that way, so let's move that smidge over that way. And let's throw these suckers on the background layer. And cover them up with some water. So I'll give each one of them 2 passes. And that way they'll look sufficiently underwater. And I still don't know what item to put. We lost Sean. Sean went completely Sesame Street on us. Let's see what kind of cool items we can throw in that tree. Maybe there can be like a crate that got caught in there or something like that. I don't want to do the metal one. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And that way, the player knows there's something there. Maybe we hide it a little bit more. They know that there's something there. There's something to look at. Let's do... Do we have any other like fallen crates or anything that we can use? Got some damaged ones that we can throw in here. And maybe we could do... Well, we might do some kind of critter in another version of this, like a variant or something like that. And there definitely are some water snakes that they have. So we might use that. But at least on this first version, I don't think that we'll do that. I'm looking for maybe like broken bottles or something like that. We'll make it like... There we go. Excuse me. Alright. 25 is my happy space as far as when I like to save, so we'll save there. Thank you. Let's put that snake in there. So this is a sea snake, but we're going to use it for not sea snake purposes. Just trying to figure out the best place to put it. I'll put it something like over here. You know, the only problem is we're probably not going to do that. And the reason why is because we can see the darn fish underwater, but we can't see the snake underwater. So we'll figure that out later. Alright. Now, the way that this worked in the book, it was the gnolls who were using the river to kind of tactically remove some of the things that were going on. So we're going to say that the entire west side of the river is where they just beat the hell out of the forest. Cefen'adiel is just one giant forest, so we're going to have just a crap ton of stumps over here now. Because they had to dam this up some way, so that's how we're going to do it. And then a little bit further west, when we eventually expand on this zone, we'll have the camp that the gnolls have. Are the beavers grumpy because they went on strike and the gnolls are the scabs? Yeah. Alright, let me muse for a moment here. We're getting very close to the end of this map, but we do need to add a little bit of pizzazz here and there. So I feel like we use these rocks a little too often, so let's try and see if we've got like any stones or rocks that we can use to add a little bit more character. We've got stone wall rubble. We've got these big rune stones. I don't really like those. Let's look at rocks instead. These sharp rocks, these waterfall stuff, the rune stones again, standing stones. Let's do the sharp rocks and see what we can do with that. Let's throw a couple of these actually in the water. Add a little bit more presence in the water. So see, when I put that together, I kind of did a couple of places where I wanted to kind of put a little bit of a focus. I don't want them all to be the same size. So that's the one thing. It certainly gives you, the randomized angles and everything like that, and that's great, but in theory, like in certain situations like this, things should be randomly sized as well. Everything shouldn't be all the same size, so. Kind of looks like a face. Mr. Potato Head being all weird. Alright. Again, same thing as before. Let's grab these suckers. Throw them to the background. Well, the skeeters could definitely be down there on the south side. And, that actually does give me the opportunity to do things like lily pads and dragonflies and stuff like that, so. Good job. Do 2 passes over that. Might even do 3 to give that a little bit of a sense of depth. Because these ones are lower than that one over there. We're actually even going to do a 4th one. So the funny thing is, like, it's 0.25. We know that 0.25 4 times should get us to 100%. It doesn't quite do that. I'm going to do 6 because this one's in a deeper spot. Same thing for here. But a lot of times you can just kind of play by ear when it comes to this stuff. Is that one not under? Did I miss that one? I did. You just get clobbered at that point. I don't care what you do. This one we're going to go a couple extra steps so that it goes deeper. Good. Alright. A little bit more character there. Let's save again because we got 89 changes. I don't know necessarily if that's the way that the rules of this tool set work, but I don't know enough to argue about that point. So that's where we're leaving that. So let's do some, not brushies, we need to do some stamps because we need to do some water stuff. So we've got these bushes that we can use. Now just because the trees are chopped down, they're not going to use bushes for any damming or anything like that. So what we're going to do actually is find a couple of places, and we're going to do a couple of lush trees on the right side too, but we're going to do something like this. A little bit of foliage over here. Right now I'm doing like the layer closest to the river. We're going to do it sporadically throughout this area. And got to have some over on this side. Okay, 64 changes. And then after that, we'll start to work on some more foliage. We got bushes, but we're going to go for plants now instead. We'll put them next to some of these things, but... And eventually we're going to do some water plants as well. So let's go to the forest. And we've got some ferns. Some forest floor plants. Let's do those ones. See, we've got these little flowers here that I try not to completely cover in some kind of cases. It adds a little bit of character in some fun ways. Kind of use them as a guide. Actually, I'm going to make that one be under the bush. Okay, let's get some of those water plants. We got the blue flowers that we'll put a little bit closer to the water. Kind of like they're drawing some of the water from the river. And let's do these purple guys. I don't want it to be that big, so we're going to dial back the size of that one a little bit. A shrubbery! And we've got one other colored flower to use, so let's do the yellow guys. So the roses, we'll put them in a couple of places. Alright. I feel like that's enough as far as kind of throwing that all together. Let's save it again. We could do dead and dying plants if they have it. I mean, I can do kind of like the green guys here and make it so that they look a little bit more, you know, decayed and stuff like that. Let's do some reeds. Oops. Throw some over here too. Don't really like them up there. I'm just going to use them down there. Let's see what we got. We got the vines. We got lots and lots of vines and stuff. I don't think that we're going to use any vines here or anything like that. No herb crops. I don't see any dying things. We've got some ferns. But I feel like we kind of already have that. And well, you know what? They're small enough where this might be our dying flowers. So let's do our color, and we're going to mess with the saturation a little bit. And let's see if we can't mess with the... There we go. Something like that. Put these in some of those like brownish spots. Nope, don't want to go that far. The whole idea here is we're selling the illusion that things are getting a little dried up over here. You know what? We've got the ferns. Let's use the ferns. So same thing, but we're going to go for some more green ferns up this way. Okay, and then let's get some water plants. Well, I mean, we did the crates and stuff like that, but like if we get like lily pads and things like that, we'll certainly throw that in there. Right, we've got these swamp fronds. I don't know that I would necessarily call it a swamp frond, but we could do... I don't know that seaweed is the way to go, but we could at least do the lily pads and stuff like that. So we'll do a couple of them. That's way too big as far as I'm concerned. Put like a couple of them in like areas where, you know, like the trees would be, or not the trees, the rocks would be. There we go. It's a nice sized one that we could do there. And then we'll definitely kind of fill in the area over here with these guys. Nope. No. We'll do that over. Yeah, I think I like it. So, again, the kind of point that we really try to make when we're doing these outdoor maps is we try to get a couple of different points of interest in play every time that we're making the map. I think that what we're going to try and do as well is if they had felled the trees out here, there's going to be some damage to the ground as well. Let me go to the brush stuff real quick and see if there's anything that I like for, where the trees came down. Got these little dirt smudges and stuff like that, grass, forest floor, fallen leaves, forest floor, stuff like that. Let's see if we do something like this. I don't know if that's foreground or not. Sean, Rihanna, when you're looking at something like that, does that look like maybe that's like where like some of the plant matter smashed into the ground, or does that just look a little off? I'm not really sure how I feel about it. We'll give it a try. We'll see if we like it. Some smush. Technical term. So each of the stumps over here is going to have a little bit of like that discoloration near it. And like the various angles. So, Rihanna, what you're saying is this doesn't look right. Well, Schmutzy will take away then. Here's what we'll do. Take a step out, because we've made 50 changes. Go back in. Let's leave that alone for now. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's put some actual trees over here on the right. We're even going to put an apple tree in there. Core and get a regular tree. You know what? Apple trees are not going to be that big. I don't need 25 foot. I'll have to look and see if there's something that I can do when it comes to the like drag marks and stuff like that. I don't know what they're going to give me to be able to work with. I might be able to do some like dirt shadows instead of the kind of the quote unquote schmutzy look, but we'll play by ear. And let's have a little bit of lose that fern back there, so let's move that over so it has a little bit of pizzazz. Alright, let's save it one more time because we're going to make some non-schmutzy drag marks, or at least give it a try. Let's see explosion marks. Certainly doesn't do what I want it to. Alright, back to the brushes. Oh, we could have done lily pads like that. Don't need to, but we could have. We've got twigs and stones. Let's actually see real quick what it looks like to kind of just... The debris is kind of nice. Let's do... A little bit more character over here. Let's do one more save. And then let's consider what we've got. Oh, you know what? I did want to do those dragonflies. Well, you know what, that color doesn't really make a lot of sense. What we got? Okay, a little bit more character there. Let's see. One more time, let's look here, see if there's anything that I feel like we can do when it comes to some nice drag marks and stuff like that. We've got this dirt. I don't think that it's going to do what I want it to. I'll tell you what, that kind of brown color there doesn't really make a lot of sense, but what if we darken it? Let me bring it to 60. So, Rihanna, knowing what you said about the last time, how does that look? Does that have more of like a fallen tree depression look, or no, not really? Okay. So we're going to do those in a couple of different ways real quick. Just one pass for each of these because I don't want it to look too badly smacked up. So I haven't lifted the style. Well, you know what? That one doesn't look right. As long as I don't lift the stylus, it doesn't really get too funky. Well, it doesn't make sense to fold that way, so we're going to do it that way instead. Did that one. Nope, didn't like that one. kind of almost falling in the same place. I don't like that one. Alright, and then to Sean's point, maybe we bring the opacity down a little bit more and then make it look like it's been dragged off. Well, it doesn't make sense to do it that way, but so insignificant, no one's even going to notice this. But I will. I'll know about it. Smudging them a little bit. It's schmutzy, but it's intentionally schmutzy. Now, we're very close to the end of this. I'm going to kind of try and think about where we're going with this, because we do have a couple of the points of interest that we were talking about earlier. We've got the crate that you can get into over here. The dam itself is kind of its own point of interest, so I'm going to leave it at that too, because we've got the ability to traverse across the dam. We've got the broken materials here, so that gives us 3. Got the apple tree that kind of has some semblance of, you know, some kind of feeling, but let's go into our... I have a list of points of interest. Let me see what we got. We got the debris in the river. We've done a nest before. I don't want to do any traps or anything like that. We could do... Let's see. See, like, we're in like a nature-y kind of part of the forest, so I don't want to do anything too strange. Like, no statues or anything like that. Let's see. No houses. We've already got a bleeding tree somewhere else. We used a fairy ring before. Now, when you're saying holes, are you saying like Shia LaBeouf, or are you saying something completely different? I kind of want to put like something over on the left side. That actually might not be a bad idea. Let's see. Pit, no holes. A brick stair hole. Let's just get rid of everything and see what we got that we can work with. Stuff like that. I am not getting off the stream until I got this figured out, so. I'm actually surprised that there's nothing in Graveyard to use. I wonder if we could do something with like an empty barrel and then cover it up with grass and make it look a little bit like a hole. Let's try that. We're going to give that a try. We're going to use the same kind of methodology is when we're doing the water. The only thing is, well, we're gonna cover it up with like grass and stuff like that. We'll see what we can do. I don't know definitively if it's gonna work. We're gonna give it a try. It does bother me that there's nothing like that there. But let's do grass. We've got spiky grass that doesn't really fit in. Cut this back a lot. Something like... kind of looks like a Christmas wreath. Not really doing what I want it to there. Let's see if there's actually something on the brush level that we can use. You know, well, I'm in the brushes. I need to be in the stamps. I wonder if we could do something like that. There's not a lot of elevation to this map. Doesn't really make sense to do it under there. I have a feeling this is going to not work out for me, but got that. Got our little cliffs and stuff. Let's do, where's our hills? There we go. Well, I wanted it to be a random stamp. It doesn't help me if you all look exactly the same. And let's actually add some other bushes around it. Kind of hide it a little bit. And maybe we'll duplicate this idea up a little higher too. Something similar like that up here. Alright, I think that's kind of cool. You can have some kind of critters that that make little nests in there and stuff like that. Alright, for all intents and purposes, this map is done. So with that in mind, It's time to celebrate. Alrighty, so that's where we're going to slow things down for today. I might tweak certain things about this, but for what we tried to do with this, I'm pretty sure that I'm happy with it. We're gonna make some adjustments to it. We'll make a version of the dam where there's no dam, it'll just be a flowing river and stuff like that. So a lot of the debris will change. We'll add some more fishies, things like that. We'll add some weather effects in some cases. We'll figure out some fun stuff to do, but I think for now, yes, chalky milk. Don't shame you, but yes, for real chalky milk. And then tomorrow, I think, depending on it really depends on how I feel after my dentist appointment. If the new the new crown that goes in leaves me feeling a little uncomfortable and I don't want to talk a lot, I probably won't do a stream. But I would like to kind of get back on track and get to work on the next map in our series, which brings us back to the summoning. We're going to do a map one south of where we were doing the summoning, and see if we can't flesh that area out a little bit as well. So let's cut over to. I don't think I need the good stuff for a crown. The post is already there. I just need him to take the fake one off and glue the real one in. So I'm one step away from doing my own dentistry. All right, so we're going to close the show. Folks, thank you for watching. Thanks for joining. Thanks for helping me with ideas. On the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find my stuff, Rihanna's stuff, Matt's stuff. We're a group. Even though I'm doing the maps, everybody helps in their own ways. Tellest is definitely growing by leaps and bounds because I have a lot of awesome people helping me out with things. So if you want to go and see anything on Tellest, whether it's art, the stories, any of the side projects that we release, you can always find that stuff on www.tellest.com. If you want to see any of our premium stuff, which is usually like things that drop early, these battle maps, the variants and things like that, you can find them on Patreon at patreon.com/Tellest. If you want to catch these videos after I make them and after Twitch tells me, hey, we're not going to host this up here anymore, I think it's like a 90-day expiration or something like that. You can find my videos later on youtube.com/@worldoftellest. If you are trying to catch me live and you're seeing this and I haven't curated it and it's landing on YouTube and you're trying to catch me live, you want to catch me on twitch.tv/thattellestguy. If you want to buy these battle maps in jumbo mousepad form, they are just awesome looking 20 by 40 inch battle maps that you can have at the ready. You can get them on tellest.etsy.com. And then there's two TikToks that you should be paying attention to. One is Rihanna's Weird Witch Wands. It's WYRD witchwands.com. We'll bring you to... Oh, I'm sorry. Weird Witch Wands is a TikTok channel, but it's also a website that'll bring you right to her wands on the Etsy shop. The other place that you should be checking out on TikTok is Tales of Tellest. That's TAILS of Tellest on TikTok, and that'll show you all the cool stuff for our doggies. We recently renamed that, and it flows much nicer into the Tellest brand and everything like that. So, but that's where we're going to leave today. Again, thanks for joining me. I hope to be back tomorrow. I'm going to try and see if we can make good use of our time, and I'm hoping that it's not going to be boiling hot up here. But that's about it. So thank you again. Thank you very much, and I'll miss you.